Alright guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over the top 5 baits for the beautiful, wonderful, one of the best bass fishing months of the year, May. So the first bait that I like to throw in the month of May, like my favorite, just like the all-around fun bait. Now it may work or may not, but this is the funnest bait to catch bass on. And of course, you probably guessed it, it's stinking topwater. Now there's a lot of different types of topwaters. There's poppers that work extremely well, rocking baits, and of course the ribbity frogger. Now if you're on like a highland reservoir, open water, schooling fish, or any schooling fish, really, it doesn't have to be clear water, but more clear water, giant dog X by mega bass right there, that is a extremely good walking bait on like slick calm conditions. Really good walking bait. Overall, just a walking bait is better on minimal grass, clear water, schooling fish. Now if we get to shallow water, you have kind of two options here. You can go weedless or non-weedless. Now if you have a highland reservoir or even lower reservoir and you don't have grass, or the grass is not matted out, I suggest going with a popper. A popper mimics bluegill and shad, because the shad in the month of May are going to be spawning. All the bass are going to be chasing the shad, which are shallow, spawning in grass and on banks, because when shad spawn, they're kind of like a stream of eggs, so they kind of attaches to any shallow cover. So they'll go to like grass or rocks or wood, something shallow, and they'll spawn on them. And the bass will follow them and obviously attack it. A popper, I think, is a really underrated bait. Not very many people throw them anymore. And it mimics bluegill really well because it mimics the sound that they make when they eat bugs off the top of the water. And it can be very realistic, and overall it's just extremely good shallow water bait that is top water, but you can work it really slow or really fast. You can walk it, you can slow pop it, you can give boom, big old pop with it. It doesn't necessarily matter. And not a lot of people are throwing it. So it's a little something different that nobody else has seen. Everybody's throwing frogs, walking baits, all the fun stuff, but nobody's picking up the old school popper. Now, this is the Guggen popper. It's okay. It's not the best. I'd probably say the Megabass Pop Max or the Pop X they're probably the best ones on the market, but I don't have $20 to spend on a popper. So this is just one I have. This is natural shad colors and bluegill colors on pretty much anything this time of the year is really where you want to go, because that's the two main forages. Because the bass on the month of May are usually done spawning. Now somewhere up north they could still be spawning, in the middle they could be spawning, but down south they're done. They're done spawning. After the bass have spawned is when it comes to bluegill spawn and the shad spawn. The reason why that's very important is because the bluegill spawn, the bluegill obviously are main food source for bass, and throughout the whole bass spawn, the bluegill were harassing the bass, so now the bass have a time to get revenge on the old blue geekies. And then if you do have grass, again, a frog. Now this is the thing. I suggest in the month of May throwing a popping frog. Again, it mimics the popper well, but I don't have one with me right now. I just have a walking frog. We can do walking frogs, but I think popping frogs this time of year will draw more fish in, and again, it mimics the bluegill and the shad pretty well. And all natural colors. This is a bluegill color. I mean, it's Berkeley Swamp Road. It's going to tore up, son. Look at that paint. It's coming off. All sorts of fish have been caught, and big fish. 6 pounds has been caught on this frog. The next bait category that, like, I can throw it, and I'm 100%. I'm going big here. I'm 100% confident catching a fish, and that is the jig category. Now I have about 3 different types of jigs here. I have a chatterbait, a vibrating jig, a swim jig, and a standard pitching casting jig. Now the reason for those 3 jigs is I kind of use the chatterbait and the swim jig as a 1-2 punch. Okay, obviously if the bass, I see bass blowing up on shad, I'm obviously gonna go with a shad colored bait, like a white swim jig and a shad colored vibrating jig. Now I use these as a 1-2 punch. I throw these in more open water, sparse grass. I threw this in this stuff. I'll throw it up there where the sun don't shine. I'll throw it up under docks, I throw it up in the weeds, I throw it up in the brush, and I will horse them out. Like, I throw it up there, rod tip high, I reel it, okay, and then when I eat it, wham! And you reel them in, you water ski them suckers in. And again, another hack for a swim jig is people like to do those shaky little rod Alabama shake, wham, and none of that. Okay, again, I don't live in Alabama, so I'm not doing it. That's not true, but I just, like, look, the Alabama shake is okay. It's an okay shaking method, or a swim jigging method. But it's very, muy tiring. If you don't know what that means, it means very tiring. Because you're just sitting there shaking and reeling. Now, not like strolling when you're shaking a lighter rod. Usually like a 7.6 heavy, extra fast, or extra heavy, depending on how thick you're going. That's why with using a wide swimming paddle tail, my absolute #1 favorite for swim jigs is the X-Zone Swammer and the 4 to 4.5 to 4.75, depending on how big swim jig is. The Swammer, it will go up, down, left, right. It just kind of wham, big wobbles. Or the Kitech's also really good at making big wobbles. I don't want a swim bait just barely a little wintertime swim bait. I want a swim bait that rock. Because when that swim bait is going, this jig is going to be moving like this, and the skirt is going to be pulsating in the water to create secondary action. And it's way better than a bare swim bait. And it's very extremely reedless, and it comes through weeds really well, just splits it right down the middle. So swim jig is a great bait. And again, I'll put links to all these baits in the description below. So if you're wondering what bait this is, I'll put my favorite bait, where to get it, and like what colors I like it in. And then the vibrating jig, again, pretty standard. It's just the Evo Elite half ounce, pretty standard, 4.7, 4.5, 4.75 spunk shad on the back. I like spunk shads because little vibration, but it's like all over the place vibration. Mimic shad very well. Again, open water, ripping it through grass, but not thick grass. I'm throwing it out there, counting it down, reeling as slow as I can, and then I'm ripping it out of the grass. So I'm reeling as slow as I can, but then when I get grass, I'm ripping it out because I will create a reaction strike, like the shad just finished spawning, and now they're darting out of the grass, and now cause the bass to dart out after. Now, depending on like what their forage is, if you're fishing around bluegill beds, obviously go bluegill colored, or like a bluegill colored swim jig, bluegill colored chatterbait. But if you're fishing around shad spawn, go shad spawn. Ooh, don't want to flash the next bait. Bluegill, shad spawn baits. Now again, if it's like bluebird skies, okay, it's dock fishing in the month of May. Dock fishing in the month of May is extremely well, because it's going to be a lot of post-spawn fish, and post-spawn fish are guarding fry, and they're very aggressive, and they usually hang around docks. And big females, or not big females, skinny females, are trying to get easy meals from bluegill, and they'll hang out in those docks in the heat of the summer. Not heat of the summer, kind of heat of the summer, because in Texas, it feels like the summer, but right now it's pouring cats and dogs outside. Again, a jig, a smaller. I like small jigs. Okay, I just like small jigs. I feel like everybody's throwing half ounce, 30 jigs, pitching jig, but I like smaller jigs. This is a little low rubber from Greenfish Tackle casting jig, horizontal line tie. Not horizontal, vertical line tie. I really like this jig for pond fishing, but I do like it for lake fishing on lakes too. The reason I like it for pond fishing is usually in ponds there's a lot of scum, and it comes through really well with that vertical line tie. Again, it's really small, very finesse, catches big bass still. I had that Paca Slim right here in the back, little Paca chunk, little crawl trailer. I mean, look, big jigs, just a standard pitching and jig works extremely well. Skip it on the docks, hop, a little drag, something out, put a little spike in or something on there, get them, make sure it's there, make sure they have it, and then BAM! Get it out of that dog. 17-pound line, fluorocarbon. I mean, you can get them good. You can get them on a great, good dock fishing bite. One tip for fishing docks is to make sure you fish the walkway. Most of the time when I'm fishing docks, I don't necessarily fish the walkway, but during May, when there's a lot of post-spawn fish around, that's where the post-spawn fish will hang out. It's easier for the males to protect the fry if they're in shallow water. There's not a lot of water for predators to come in from. They can't come in from the bottom. Say if they're out on the end of the dock, it can only come in from in front of them. So make sure you fish like the walkway, or like the last post on the walkway into like the main boat dock area. That's where I find a lot of post spawners. Now here in Texas, we got post spawners up to about 2, 3, 4 pounds. Up north, maybe be a pound and a half. I'm just saying. You can get on like a good 4-pounder bite with post-spawn males fishing, guarding fry, and they are aggressive. Okay, you can throw a swim jig upside the docks too. That's a really good way to get them too. Just think of throw a swim jig upside the docks, reel it real nice and slow, take the grass, maybe a little shake every now and then, and those post-spawn males, they'll wham out from the dock and smack it. All right, bait number 2, or bait number 3 actually, with bass schooling offshore. more in the May. I like a deep crank. Deep crank, I'll keep it short and simple. It's deep, it's loud, draws fish attention, and it catches fish. And this is DT16 from Rapala. Really stinking good crankbait right there. Throw it on rock piles, ledges, or I wouldn't say go deep deep, I would go mid depth. Like 10 foot, 16 foot, some 20 foot, somewhere around there. Because the bass haven't gone totally deep, but they haven't gone totally shallow. They're kind of moving in between those two spots. Again, deep crank, really good. I mean, I don't throw it as much as I should because I can catch them on a different bait that I love way more than deep crank. And that bait is swim baits. Now, you may be seeing I'm holding up one giant swim bait and one tiny one. These are actually the same thing. These are both trick shots, but this is a 6-inch and this is a 2.5 inch. Now, if you want just to get bites, throw this 2.5 inch BFS trick shot. I will say though, these hooks on this trick shot are the absolute most worst hooks I've ever seen in my life. So make sure you upgrade your hooks on these things because you will lose every single fish that you will ever catch on this bait, and you will never want to pick it up again. And you will never want to pick it up again because how many fish you lose on this bait. But this is a great bait. I mean, this thing can, whoo, it can glide pretty good for this little bait. It's a great BFS chowder bait. A great BFS swim bait if we're looking into that. And then obviously, I love this one. This is my favorite cloud bait of all time. Berkeley trick shot in a shad color. I mean, you throw it up shallow, mid depth area, let it sink a little bit. You know, reel it, stop it, chop chop, let it sit. Reel it, stop, chop chop, let it sit. Reel it, boom! It is fun as heck to catch them on this bait. I love getting on them with this bait, and you can catch 5, 6, 7 pounders on this thing easy. Again, big bait, big fish, big fun. Now, if you only catch like 4, they may be like 15 pounds each. I don't know. And then probably the bait that is a gold standard during this month is underspins. Just underspins. Now, if you have a lot of grass, there's shad spawn, weeded underspin is your go-to. Weeded underspin, throw it up in the grass, reel it real nice and slow through the grass, bam. Okay, pretty simple as that. Now, this underspin right here, really good for targeting schooling fish offshore. This is the Great Lakes Finesse Sneaky Underspin, I think is what it's called. I don't exactly know. But little Kitech on the back, absolutely amazing bait to target bass offshore. Way better than a standard paddle flip because that has no blade and will not get any bites. Actually, probably will, but adding that blade will get you 10 times more bites. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Add the little blade, more fish. I've seen it happen before. I've seen it myself happen before. I've been throwing a little 2.5, 2.8 inch Kitech, add a little blade, catch 50. Now that kind of comes to an end of our top 5 baits for the month of May. Again, May is absolutely amazing time to get out fishing. So make sure y'all get out fishing and peace out. Here's a big one. Peace.